Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to WrestleTalk. Of course, my name is Lee Meadows. You all know Sam on my left, but our special guest this evening is Pete Quinnell, formerly of WrestleTalk. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure and an honor. Now, we've not seen you on YouTube land wrestling wise for a little while, but
Mhm.
we'll get into how you got there and your journey towards it. But first of all, it's a little known fact that you used to work in a sandwich shop before you made your on-screen appearance. So I need to know, what's your sandwich filling of choice?
Oof. You know what? It's a hard question because it tends to change all the time. Um, but I will say I'm a sucker for any form of tuna mayo.
Oh,
I'm a big tuna guy. So if you got tuna plus something, I'm in.
tuna sweet corn. Oh, winner,
Hmm.
winner.
Banger.
Absolutely, it's good
Yeah.
stuff. Absolutely good stuff. So, from working in a sandwich shop, and I understand you were writing for the Wrestle Talk website. We got to an occasion. Was it 2018? I think. Well, 2018, 2019, when we're over WrestleMania weekend. Strangely, how convenient for what this
Mm,
week is.
yeah.
And Ollie and Luke are nocturnal, and
Yeah.
yeah, and you're taking care of business on the day shift of things for a little while. Ollie telling you, we'll just see what happens for a few months. We'll see how it goes, and then a certain phone call happens during one of the live streams,
Hmm.
and he says, "How do you fancy jumping on board?"
Yeah.
How did that strike you? Was that a surprise? Did that come out of the blue? The
Um,
reaction was quite authentic. I thought it was quite lovely.
yeah. So it was unexpected because of the timing. I
Right.
think I had expected I was hoping that with all the work I was putting in that it would have resulted in a full-time position, and I knew that that was a possibility at the end of it if everything had gone well, if the fans liked me, if I worked well as part of the team. I knew that that was a possibility coming out of it, but he said it would probably be a minimum of doing that for 3 months, and it had only been two. So I wasn't
Oh,
expecting it to be that soon. I was still expecting at least another month of kind of working part time, and still working on my other job for a while yet. But then, yeah, when he called me, then it was just unexpected because I was like, oh, now, yay, great, cool. So yeah, so it was unexpected, but not necessarily for the. I wasn't expecting a job, but just the from the timing. It was, yeah.
how did you find the transition from doing writing to getting on screen? Was that difficult?
Um, I don't think it was too bad. Just because I'd done a lot of my own like video content in the past. So I'd done a lot of being on camera and stuff like that already.
Hmm.
In the past. So I didn't find being on camera that uncomfortable. And it's a very different world to from writing a video script to from writing a website article. They serve very different purposes.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I did struggle a little bit when I first started doing the on-screen stuff, purely from like a imposter syndrome type perspective, where I was like, why am I here? Because I wasn't anybody in like the wrestling space at all. I was just a fan, and then all of a sudden I was presenting videos for the channel that I was a fan of, and it was a weird like dynamic for me to bridge. But I think after the videos started coming out, like I look back on some of those early videos that I did now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely wasn't experienced as I am now. Like, there's definitely things I would have improved, but I don't think it was bad necessarily.
No.
Like, I don't think I was a bad presenter. So it did over time. It just kind of been like, no, I think I do deserve to be here. I think I am good enough at my job to make this work. Um, so yeah, it was a weird little dynamic to start with, but it wasn't bad starting to write scripts because it's something I'd already done beforehand. So that bit was okay.
Yeah. I think I can kind of relate to that a little bit because I
Hmm.
remember doing my very first live stream. We used to be on an Arsenal fan channel called
Mm.
Cannon Chatter, and I get a call. The show had gone live, and I get a message on my phone. Do you fancy coming on? And I'm like, okay. I've never
Sure.
done it. Yeah, let's just do it. And I had no light set up. I had nothing.
Mhm.
I was bright red face and everything. It was wonderful stuff. But as time went by, it became a little bit more natural. It's funny enough, used to be a singer, and I'm very used to being in front of an audience. So it's kind of the same sort of feel, although you can't actually see the people in front of you. So I think Sam might have a question. I thought it might be sort of in relation to what you just said about having a previous video or previous YouTube channel. Sam.
Yeah, funny you should say that. It's really good to have you on because obviously I haven't spoke yet. And it's really good that you've put aside some time for us. Like, we really do appreciate it. But there was kind of two questions that I had. So one was that I found a YouTube channel that was active from around 2011 2013. And I remember messaging Lee at the time, and I was thinking, I think I found something, but I'm not actually sure. So I went through and watched a few videos. So a few of them didn't kind of, because of the nature of the parkour and what it was, didn't kind of focus on yourself. So I kind of got a half glimpse, and I thought, I don't know if it is. Kind of looks similar. I'm definitely trying
to beard, isn't it?
And then I was messaging Lee, and I was like, "Do you know anything about this?" And he kept quiet for a little bit because I think he wanted for me to find my own answer.
I was working, mate.
So I came across one that was parkour in Knots 2013, and I resonated with it straight away because of the song choice that was used in it, which was "Everyday" by Netsky. I think that was just added knowledge to show you that I had done this and hadn't kind of made it up and watched the video a little bit. But I guess that was just something that you did that was something that was an interest for you at the time, wasn't it? And then you just, am I right in saying that? Just put it on there to kind of keep that content for yourself almost and show.
Yeah, it was basically just like almost like a diary of sorts. It's just a place to put the videos that I made. Because parkour was something I did while I was at university from 2011 to 2014, and then a couple of years after until I moved away in 2016, I want to say. So probably about 5 years I did it. And during that time, it was nice to just occasionally vlog and record so I could just see like progress of what I was doing. And I enjoyed the process of editing something, put a bit of music on it and try and make it look a little bit cool. It did not look cool because I didn't know what I was doing, and the parkour wasn't very good, and the editing wasn't very good because I was completely new at everything at that time. But those are the early days of making terrible content that leads you to making very good content in the future, because you need to have a foundation somewhere. And for me, that was the first time where I really explored like video editing and trying to make any sort of content and all that stuff. So yeah, it was just something that I liked doing at the time while I was at university, to try and pass the time a little bit. Yeah, it was good fun, but I don't think the video is very good.
No, I'm gonna counter that because as a person that isn't in that space and doesn't know a lot about it, I really enjoyed watching it and I found it really impressive. So,
thank you.
And it was funny for me to look at the situation now where you can't play a second of a song on a video without potentially being taken down, i.e. we did some live streams on Twitch and stuff, and half of those got taken down when we were like playing various songs, and they say that you can do that apparently. But it was just weird at that time. Obviously the space was completely different where you could play that complete song for the whole of that video and it's still there. Like it hasn't been taken down because
I'm sure it's been demonetized. That much is for sure. Yeah. Although the video wouldn't have been monetized anyway. Not like the channel's big enough, but yeah.
It's just I just find it a little bit ironic how it still stayed there, even though that if we were to do that this evening, it probably wouldn't last a minute.
It's all right. I'm not about to grab a guitar and start singing. I wouldn't dream of doing that to you.
And then the other question, I guess, comes around like the Pete Repeat channel. And so on there, It's a mixture of kind of your own like film reviews, video game music, Dungeons and Dragons. Is there any further plans with that? Is what because I think there was one quite recently, but then before it was maybe like a year or something. So is there any future plans to kind of keep that going?
Yeah, absolutely. I have 2 videos that I'm working on right now. And I think I know what the next 7 videos on that channel are going to be. I'm just working through it, and those plans can change, and I can be like, actually, I want to do this one later, or I've got a new idea that I want to do first, or whatever. But yeah, I've got lots of ideas. It's just about finding the time to actually make them. Is the really hard bit. And the reason why it was like almost a year between uploads, I think it was something like 10 months between 2 uploads, was because I was working on one for ages, and then I lost all progress on it. And that sucked. So I was like, well, I'm gonna have to start from scratch again. And then I wanted to work on a few other bits, and then one of them that I did, my D&D video, took a ton of time because I read like so many different papers about so much different stuff, so it took ages to make. So then the most recent one I did, the one after that, I was like, I want this to be a quick one because I just want to turn around in like a couple months if I can. That would be great. And yeah, that took me about 3 months in the end to fully make that from start to finish, which again is like really long if I was doing this full time, but I have a full-time job, so I'm just doing it when I can in my free time, and also trying not to burn out at the same time, which is a very hard balance to strike sometimes. But yes, I have lots of plans for the channel. Whether I get to do them all, I don't know, but I have many video ideas that I'm working on.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear, because films is something that really close to me, so I'll definitely have an invested interest in that one. I'm going to pass back over to Lee. I've got a couple of more questions, but I'm going to let Lee ask some more here.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we've moved over from that WrestleMania sort of season where we've gone on to there, and then of course the world has shut down somewhat. COVID-19 hit, and I'll tell you from my personal story real quick that because I'm asthmatic, I got sort of away. I was away from literally everybody apart from my daughter and my wife here in my tiny little flat here. And the WrestleTalk channel had a fantastic little idea of putting almost like a pub quiz together, QuizzleMania, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It almost gave you something in the week to look forward to. I don't know if you guys knew how long it would run or whatever the long-term plans were, but I'd like you, from your point of view as one of the early contestants on the thing, how did it run from your side of things, and was it fun to do? Because it looked a lot of fun from the outside here.
Yeah, I think that initial like first, I don't know, 10, 12 episodes that we did were really good because it came from a really organic place in the, at the time, the thing to do during that time was like, oh, we'll do a quiz with people online. Like that was just the thing that people did. And it was mentioned as a joke. We were having a meeting, I think, and it was mentioned as a joke, we should do QuizzleMania. And we were like, tee-hee-hee, that's a silly name. And then we just kind of sat on it. And then we started being like, maybe we'll do a quiz, but we'll come up with a better name than QuizzleMania because that's kind of bad. So let's just actually like brainstorm it. And we were thinking about it, and then we said, I don't know why we're still thinking of a name. QuizzleMania is the right one, isn't it? Like it's the one that initially you say and you think it's stupid, and then that's the one that sticks. That's how Parts Fun Known got its name as well. The WrestleTalk side channel was because it was set out as a really stupid name, and we went, ha, that's stupid. And then we just sat on it, and then it just became the actual name. And that initial one, I believe, if memory serves, it's really hard for me to remember. I have wiped so much of that time period out of my head because, but I believe that we just wanted to do it as a one-time thing. I don't know if people remember that the prize for the first QuizzleMania was a copy of Doom Eternal.
You kept on passing it over to each other, didn't you? I remember this.
It's just supposed to be, well, it just come out. Why not?
Why not?
So yeah, so I think, and we were supposed to like dress up for it and all that stuff. Like it was supposed to be like an event, you know, it was QuizzleMania or whatever. But then when we saw like, damn, that was really fun, and people really seemed to like it, so we were like, let's do another one. Why not? I think it became really like, after a while, it became untenable. Partly for Adam's workload, because he was having to do the quiz every week on top of everything else that he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And he started to need help to get quiz questions ready and stuff like that. And I don't think we could commit time-wise to doing it every week, which is why it went like monthly after a while and all that stuff. And I think after a while, it did. I think it definitely it ran its course. It had its time in the spotlight, and then I think once like people started going back into offices and all that stuff and came out of it, I don't think it needed to go beyond that, but it kept going for a little while longer, and then eventually it stopped. But I think for the time that it had in the spotlight during the height of the pandemic, it was really fun. It was a really fun thing to do. Yeah, it was just a really good time.
It was. It was fun to watch. It was something certainly for me to put in the calendar. All right, I'm going to be watching this. I'm going to have a jolly good time doing it. Mm-hmm. And it almost brought some of. So I'm somewhat of a lapsed wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And that time when I was away from work, I thought, okay, I'll watch a bit of YouTube, and saw you guys. I saw other wrestling channels. I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to just go for it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I will say, like, 95% of the credit, I think, for that needs to go to Adam. Like, pretty much all of that he came up with himself, like the presentation of it, all the questions, or like the whole tone of QuizzleMania was basically on the back of Adam. So I think he deserves massive credit for making that work.
Absolutely. And you know, Herb Adams doing well. I think he's doing his own stuff on his own Patreon channel now, which is really good for him. It's good to have him back in a space on a platform like this and doing his own thing.
Yeah, he and I are going to be live streaming WrestleMania night 2 on his Patreon page. So yeah.
Oh wow, we have an exclusive there. That's wonderful. Thank you for dropping that. No, that's cool. That's really cool. It's one thing I really found quite, you know, I can resonate with you a little bit here, is the punishments that went along with the with perhaps not winning the competition. And there was quite a sad day, wasn't there, when your image might have changed a little bit. Would you like to tell the viewers what happened to you?
Yeah, so look, it was 2020, okay? Yeah. And if ever there was going to be a time to do something crazy, that was going to be the time.
Yeah.
And I think we had, it might have been 1 or 2 weeks prior, I want to say, Andy Datson shaved his head for charity. And I was like, that's really good, awesome, fun moment. And I was like, I can go one better. So I could do my beard. And I think that would be a really like drastic shift if I shave my beard off. And it was Adam consistently, when I raised the idea, Adam was just like, but what about your eyebrows? And I was like, I'm not going to do my eyebrows. That's insane. Like, come on. Like, I have a line. Obviously, like, the beard is a fun enough shift. I don't want to do eyebrows. Well, that's crazy. And he's like, but what if we set a price goal? And if they hit it, then you have to do your eyebrows. And I was like, fine, whatever. Like, screw it. Like, we're probably not going to hit it. It's a super high target anyway.
Yeah.
And you know what? Who cares? No one's going to see me. Like, my eyebrows will grow back. It'll be fine. And of course, we did hit the goal. And then I had to shave off my beard and my eyebrows. And it is legitimately one of the worst things I've ever done.
You didn't want to look in the mirror, did you, mate?
It was so bad.
Do you want to stay and do super chats? No.
No, I really don't. I genuinely, I really struggled to look at myself afterwards. For about 2 weeks, I really struggled to look in the mirror. And I thought, I was like, I've made a genuine mistake by doing this. Uh-oh, this is bad. But luckily, everything grew back. It was fine. But but for a little while there, I was like, no, bad.
Did your good lady not like the new look?
No. So my partner at the time, it was our anniversary the next day. So she was thrilled.
Absolutely. So this is where I can connect with you a little bit here, sir, because me and Sam, we also would do another channel. It's called Gooner Gathering. Give us a subscribe, thumbs up. So couldn't help that. Sorry. And when I host that channel, it's my own channel, and I had a message pop up on the comments and said, because my co-host at the time, he said he put as ridiculous, but if Eddie Nketiah, do you know your football, by the way?
Not even a little bit. No.
Okay. We had a player at Arsenal called Eddie Nketiah, and he said if he's going to be the main scorer during the season, he'd share his hair off and all this sort of thing. And it's like, right, okay. Well, if this player scores against us in this cup tie, well, Lee, will you shave your eyebrows off? I immediately thought of you, and I thought, screw it, I'll say something silly for YouTube content.
Yeah,
and it actually happened.
Of course, yeah.
So whoop, off they went.
Yeah.
Just in December, I want to say that was. And yes, it was. I'm still struggling with the look now. Never mind. It was a good time. It was all for a good laugh.
Yeah.
So where do you want to go from here, Sam? Have you got anything else you want to add right now?
No. Have you got? Because obviously mine tails off. The last few questions I have tail off. So if you've got any more, you go for it.
Well, no. One thing I will ask you about is I want to ask you if your when things got a little bit back to normal. Tell me if some of there's some things that you really enjoyed doing on WrestleTalk. Is there's a couple of moments that really stand out for me. Sometimes the live reactions to certain things that happen. What are your highlights? What's something you look back very fondly on?
So the first day back in the office was really fun. In August 2021, first day we came back to the office and we did the big live stream like weekend. It was like 4 days straight doing a bunch of live streams. We did a 12-hour live stream watching a bunch of wrestling.
Nice.
We watched the AEW show where CM Punk came back. We did SummerSlam. We did that whole period of time, and that was really cool just to be able to be back in the office with everybody. That was really fun. And that was, I think that's the only live reaction stream we did where I think all of us at the time did a live stream show together. There was 6 of us that did a show together for SummerSlam, and we never did that before or after, which was kind of crazy. So that was really, really fun. And that was also the stream where Luke announced that he was going to have a kid as well.
Yeah.
Which we knew was coming.
Coming out of the briefcase, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Which we knew was coming, and we knew it had been coming for a little while. So we were like, just want to get to the end of the show so Luke can do his bit. But yeah, that was really, really fun. And I think what might be my best memory of my time there was Clash at the Castle, the first one.
Wow,
because that was the first show that we did, the first watch party that we hosted, where everyone came out and we went into this room, and it was really cool. And there was way too many people in this room. There weren't enough seats for everybody, but it was really cool environment. Everyone was so hyped, especially because at that time, Triple H had just taken over WWE. So there was just this real sense of optimism in the air. Everyone was in a really good mood. It was a good time for a UK crowd. So we were all in a really good mood. The show was awesome. Everybody in the crowd had such a good time. We had really good fun hosting it. And this was the first time a lot of people kind of came up to us and said, we really enjoy your content. And for a long time, I hadn't really met anybody that I could consider, I find it the term a bit weird, but a fan of stuff that we did. Because a lot of times you're just doing it for names you see on a screen. You just see people in comments, or you see them as Patreon backers or whatever. It's very rare that you get to see people in person and they tell you, I'm a fan of your work, kind of thing. I thank you for doing what you do. And it was that night, kind of the show itself was really fun. And then afterwards we stayed for an hour just talking to people, and just seeing that many people just being it kind of reaffirmed oh yeah, this is why I'm doing this. This is because I'm glad that people like what we do. I sometimes, the negativity can get on top of you when you see a bunch of hateful comments or whatever. You can have bad days on the internet, but just seeing people who were positive about what we did was really like reassuring to be like, yeah, this is why we do what we do, and this is really nice. That was a fantastic night. Clash of the Castle I will always strongly remember.
It's something it's very different, isn't it, when you're doing something live in front of people? That's a big difference to performing in front of your camera set up when it works.
Big time. Yeah.
For 25 minutes, so that's good.
Know.
I guess I've got a couple of questions at this point. Just kind of makes sense. So I was kind of looking at the things that you did, because obviously there was an element of yourself on WrestleTalk, there was an element of yourself on Parts Unknown, and then there was an element of yourself on the WrestleTalk podcast. That's a separate channel, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I went in and kind of looked at your last sort of videos on there. And I went to the WWE 2K24 GM mode when you were sponsored at the time by 2K. And I really enjoyed those last sort of moments, because I struggle with GM mode. I think it's incredibly hard if you're on your own. But I do think from watching it, it kind of brings out a different side and a little bit of competition when you were sat doing it with two other people. Even from just watching that one video, I gained quite a lot in terms of the putting charity promos on to boost the fans going up. So I really enjoyed that. And I haven't really absorbed content where people sit down next to each other, because often when I see content on GM mode, it tends to be across on a camera across two different consoles. So it's really good that you were able to set something up where you had 7 or 8 minutes where everybody else had music in, so they literally couldn't hear or see what you were doing. Obviously they could see what you were doing. That's impossible to not be able to, but they were trying their best to not look into it and wait for the reaction that you had. So I found that really fun, because I think that allowed all three of you, for each of your separate personalities, to come over across in the video. And I think that made for the better viewing experience all around. I guess then I went to, because you did the end of one tournament, and then yourself and Luke, am I right in saying that? Then went on to another one straight after and said we would love to be able to film more, but we don't have the sponsor anymore, and the ad revenue is making it really hard for us to continue to do this and film in the same way that we'd done before we had a sponsor. So we've chosen to film it all really quickly in a week and then put it on Patreon. At that same time, you were honest and said, I found another opportunity, and that I'm stepping away from WrestleTalk. What was kind of your driving force for you to do that? Because obviously it's an extremely brave thing to do when WrestleTalk is a massive entity that it is, in terms of lots of people watching that. So it's almost like a little bit of a step into the unknown and a step into the dark, because you're going from something where you will have loads and loads and loads of people watching, regardless of what each one of you do in set video. The chances are, because of the brand that's been built there, you're still going to get people watching. So that was brave in itself. But what was what made you trust your own instinct to be able to say, look, I can step away and go down different avenues?
I think there's a ton of factors in the decision to leave, and I won't say all of them here, but I think there's a lot of things that I want to be able to do in my life, and I didn't think that staying where I was would allow me to do what I wanted to do. Basically, I needed a change, and it sucked because I think I really enjoyed my time there. I loved the a lot of the people that I worked with, and all that stuff, but I did need a change in my life, and that was the biggest thing to change was that. Yeah, there was a bunch of different reasons that all kind of pointed in that direction, and for a long time it just felt like I was just going to have to stay because that's what I knew. But after several conversations with my partner, and she was like, you can get another job. Like it's possible. They do exist. It just felt very like I was very much stuck in my own mindset kind of thing. But then started looking for other jobs and all that stuff, and then made a decision like, this is what I need to do. So it's a bit unfortunate, but I needed that change.
Yeah, I think that's often the hardest thing, though, isn't it? Knowing that WrestleTalk is such a massive thing and a massive achievement. To then step away from that massive achievement that you've always worked towards is that really hard stage of it. I guess another thing that Lee sent me a video, which was the CM Punk return reaction from yourself and
Dan, right?
Dan
at
Layton.
Survivor Series 23.
Yeah. Because you were on a table, but there was people behind you, weren't there?
At the watch party we hosted.
So it was another watch party that you mentioned. Yeah, and so it's one of the videos that I watched, and I did have my big over-ear headphones on at the time.
Sorry,
no, that's all good. Because I've put. You were kind of talking about it before it happened. So you were going, well, we've heard this might happen, but we don't think it will.
Yeah.
And then you went, well, the WWE logo's come up now, but it doesn't mean that.
Doesn't mean it's the end,
Not
obviously. Yeah.
And then it happened. And then it was, So it was almost like I was in that room at the same time because of the over-ear headphones on, and when you have those on, you can't hear anything else. So it almost felt like I was there, and I felt that atmosphere for a second, because when something sounds amazing, you kind of get goosebumps almost, and that is from my pure reaction of not seeing it before to then. That was what I got. It was kind of the disbelief from yourself and the people behind you, and the atmosphere of it all. There was you screaming, I think, "Oh my God, oh my God," and then there was Dan with the best line ever. That it was 3:50 in the morning here, but they can hear us from Chicago as CM Punk has walked into WWE Arena. And I think your reaction and that line put together made that a real special moment for people to watch. But then ultimately that must have been one of those things that Lee mentioned earlier. That must be one of those things that stands out for you from your time there as well.
Yeah, so I mean, being part of that sort of moment with CM Punk coming back is definitely like it's a really fun thing to be a part of, and that moment of me and Dan reacting like got used by WWE and stuff like that, which was really really cool. But I think that the biggest thing from that moment in particular was I think that I just didn't believe the rumors. I was like, people are just like, I mean, it's in Chicago, but sure, like there's no. just because it's Chicago doesn't mean that CM Punk's going to be there. I think that's kind of, I privately thought that they were being very hopeful that CM Punk would come back. And I was like, I don't think there's any chance of him coming back yet. Like, maybe he will in the future. Maybe he'll come back in the Rumble or something like that. But like, no way he's going to come back that night. And then, of course, he did. And that's what I was very surprised by. I didn't even know if I really wanted him back in WWE at that point. I was just like, kind of on the fence. Like, I don't know if it'll work, whatever. So when it happened, I was kind of like in disbelief, being like, oh, that's really curious. Rather than like, oh my God, I can't believe this amazing thing has happened. I was more just like what? Really? Like, that's weird kind of reaction. Obviously, like, very surprising, but like I don't know if this is good surprising kind of thing. You know what I mean? But you know, that is definitely one of the highlights of my time. I mean, those watch parties in general were very, very fun. Just being able to have like a live crowd there that would react with us to stuff was very cool. And for some of them as well, not on the initial Clash of the Castle one, but for a lot of the others, we had like a pre-show where we would do like a live, almost like a live QuizzleMania of sorts, and nice. Start doing some like in-person games and stuff like that beforehand, which was really cool, and very much enjoyed doing that as well.
Yeah, I certainly think knowing that you together achieved something as big as your own watch parties, that's something massive, because there isn't many people or companies even that do that. Unfortunately, definitely not now, of the whole Netflix saga. But to say that you've done it and to say that people turned up, it really is like an amazing thing to have achieved. I guess my last question was more YouTube in general. So I saw an Instagram post that you reacted to that was based on someone informing others as to how the algorithm works. It interested me that I thought it was just a video that you posted, like loads of people do, of somebody else speaking about a said topic. But I found it really interesting that you then gave your own views around that. And based off of that, I kind of made a two-parted question that kind of all mixes together. So there was, so what is your best piece of advice / the best way that you think to protect your own mental health when you're using channel analytics? Because obviously we've got so many of them now on YouTube. And the second part to that, away from how to protect yourself, is how that you can use those analytics to improve the content that you're putting out, and continue to kind of like learn and adapt and get better. I think those two things kind of link together, but I wondered what you thought to both of those questions.
I think the most simple bit of advice I can give is don't look at them. They're bad. If you care about your mental health at all, don't look at them, because especially when you're creating something that is yours, when you care a lot about what you're making, and you care about the content of what you're making, you care about the identity, you care about when you're working on a passion project, and you care about every facet of what you're doing. Being told repeatedly by YouTube numbers that like actually you're bad is horrible. And a lot of times it will point out numbers and just be like, these numbers aren't very big. People aren't enjoying your videos. And it is this constant messaging that YouTube does constantly to try and get you to keep trying. And it gives you such a massive dopamine hit when something does work. When it gives you a 1 out of 10, when it says like, oh, everyone's loving this. You're amazing. Wow, you're great. And you go, wow, this feels great. I'm going to keep doing it. And then it literally takes out. It is legitimately really close to gambling. It provides you similar highs to gambling, which it creates that environment in its analytics. There's an incredible YouTube video by a guy called Super Eyepatch Wolf, who's one of my favorite creators on YouTube. He does amazing video essays about wrestling as well. If you haven't seen those, bloody watch them. They're incredible. But also he's done one, I believe it's called YouTube Influencer Courses Are Garbage, right? And it is all of these people like trying to give all like the YouTube gurus giving you tips on how to grow your channel and maximize engagement and all the nonsense that people try to throw out. And he just dissects it constantly to just be like, don't listen to any of these people. They're all wrong. Like, it is crazy. And he explains it in why it's so bad to think about it that way. I think that there is things you can learn. I love numbers. I'm a big stats guy. I love working out and seeing patterns in things and trying to dissect numbers and data analysis. I love all of that stuff. You can dive into such a massive rabbit hole in YouTube analytics because they go so far and the hole is so deep that you can completely lose yourself in the minutiae of something instead of just making good videos. You just got to make stuff you like. And if you are doing YouTube purely to be successful, I believe that is the wrong way to do it. You should make stuff that you want to make because it is fun to make it. If it then becomes successful, amazing. That's great. But if it doesn't, fine. You don't have to be a YouTuber. It's okay. Yeah. I think you can definitely lose yourself a little bit when trying to make things successful because you forget why you're doing it in the first place. You start making all these changes, and that's how stuff gets dragged into the area of you following trends and clickbait and things like that. A lot of it comes from that desire to just be successful at all costs. And that, I think, is an extremely toxic way to make content. And at the end of the day, you should just be making stuff that you want to make. And really, that is one of the reasons why I really wanted to pursue my Pete Repeat stuff, was because I didn't really want to make content anymore. And I wanted to make art. You know, I wanted to make something that I could be proud of instead of just being like, it's a Tuesday, I'm doing the WrestleTalk news today. You know, like I wanted to get on to doing stuff that I wanted to make, which I didn't feel like I could do in that last job. So it's that mindset, I think, that you really need to separate away from yourself, because if you're in a commercially focused thing, there are a lot of companies out there that are commercially focused when it comes to YouTube, where they're there to make money, and that's fine. If you want to use YouTube as a way to make money, that's cool. But if you're doing this as a passion, if you're doing this because you want to make something, it will destroy your mental health. If you have a detachment and you can look at numbers and you don't take it personally when stuff says this stuff isn't working, cool, look at the numbers, you'll be fine. But if you care about what you do at all, being repeatedly shown and told that what you do is bad, it'll destroy you over time. It's rough, and it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I watched that video on your Instagram at the time where I also had watched things around, I think it was around like on Netflix documentaries and things like that, in terms of the algorithm and how that all works. So we're told that the algorithm works because if something's good, that's why it will be successful. But when I found out that that wasn't the case at all, and sometimes your content doesn't have to be anything, but sometimes somebody that works for whichever social media it's under will decide that what you're doing at that moment, they're going to make sure that other people see that. That's not to say that one video that didn't get pushed is not as good as the other at all. It's just because sometimes someone just wants to make sure that content gets out somewhere. So
and also because the algorithm like isn't all knowing, you know, like it likes to think that it is, and it likes to pretend that it knows what content you want to watch, therefore it will push all the videos that you want to watch. But I can guarantee you that there are many, I would lay a lot of money on the fact that there are thousands of videos on YouTube that you have never seen that you would love, you know, for every single person. And the algorithm has no idea what you would like and what you wouldn't. It can have a generalized idea, but I think it generally, the trend of it is it tries to pigeonhole you into a specific thing. It's like, oh, you've watched wrestling videos 3 times. We will give you wrestling videos. and that's the only thing you like on YouTube is wrestling videos now. And it puts you further into like this funnel into you're this one thing. When people are massively multifaceted, you can enjoy multiple different kinds of things. And I don't think the algorithm accounts for stuff like that. So I think they can have the best intentions to try and feed you the content that they think you will like the most, but they will never know 100% what is correct and what isn't. So I find it hard to trust, personally.
Fair enough. Have you frozen,
yeah.
Sam?
No, I'm back again now.
Good man.
So yeah, I think that was my main kind of takeaway, and I think that kind of added to the answer that you give as well. And certainly a lot of that, the answer, again, I want to thank you for your honesty, because I think I'll take a lot of that moving forward as well.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I wanted to say before I pass on to Lee, because I think he's got one more as well, is that furthering on to the question that I asked earlier in terms of you stepping away from WrestleTalk, I think that links really well with what you said, that I wanted to create an art form. I believe you're in a role now where it is more that kind of art form. Is that right?
Not necessarily, no. There's a little bit more of that, but not necessarily. But I think what I wanted more than anything, I think when you're in the job that I was at WrestleTalk, you have to use a certain amount of creativity every day. Because it is, you are creating content, but also you have to think about, you know, the content that you're making and all that stuff, and you have to think about how you're packaging everything, and you have to come up with good ideas for certain stuff, and you are creating content all the time. In my new role that I have now, I can actually switch off from work after I'm done. Whereas because I really cared about the stuff that I was doing at WrestleTalk, I would think about it every single day. There wouldn't be a day where I wouldn't check in on analytics, when I would check in on how videos are performing, checking in on comments, checking social media. I became a little bit obsessed with just the job, because that's what it was. I was a fan of the channel, and I really wanted to do well, and I cared about the stuff I was making, and I really wanted to do that, which left no space at any point for me to do anything that I wanted to make. And all of my like own projects that I wanted to do, there was no headspace for that at all. So I needed a step back from that so I could make the things that I wanted to make. And not just videos. You know, I've got my Pete Repeat stuff, but I have other projects that I'm working on currently that I'm not going to talk about yet, which will be revealed, I'm sure, at some point. But there's stuff that I want to do that I simply wouldn't have been able to do if I stayed at WrestleTalk, because I just became kind of consumed by it, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was more like, it wasn't necessarily the job that I've moved to that was the thing that I needed to move to. It was just not being there was really the biggest thing, of just giving me that headspace to be able to work on my own stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that leads nicely for me to go over to Lee, because I know that you've spoke to me, Lee, about the channelytics on your channel and how you kind of how you look at those. But to me, that from my perspective seems a healthy way to look at it.
Yeah.
So it's a healthy way to look at it, into comparison to let it take over. It's just
I mean, it's a great question, because I'm in a full-time job myself, and when I try and put content out either here on WrestleDawgs or do it on my own channel, it's like, okay, I want to do this and this, but trying to find the time to do it, and then you're looking at, oh, okay, that's done all right, but that's not done so great. It's you know, but I think that the piece of advice that I'd give to anyone, like I think Pete said, is if you're enjoying what you do, just go ahead and do it, and that's probably the best way to do it. And if you're not enjoying it, then why are you in front of the camera?
Exactly.
And that's the actual thing, isn't it? I suppose to sort of wrap the interview up, I do want to ask you, do you still keep in touch with the wrestling? Obviously, being involved in it for so long, and being consumed in it for years, at the channel, do you still try and keep relatively up to date with it? And how are your thoughts on WrestleMania coming up this week?
So I took a detox from wrestling after I left. So I left last September, and I didn't watch anything, not a single minute of wrestling, not a clip, nothing at all until the Royal Rumble. So I knew essentially zero going into that Rumble, but I watched that with some friends, watched it with Adam and a few people, which was really good fun. And I've just started now to kind of like dip my toes back in over the last like month or so. I didn't watch it live at the time, but I've gone back and watched some parts of Elimination Chamber, and I watched the Cody and Cena promo that was on Raw. You know, I've just kind of dipped my toes in a little bit, just testing the water, just to see like what's been happening around there. So I've kept up with a lot of like the angles and stuff that are going into WrestleMania and all that stuff. And I'll be watching WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania. I can't not, I'm going to watch the Rumble and I'm going to watch WrestleMania every year. I'm just gonna. But I think I will never, I think, ever get back into watching Raw and SmackDown consistently. No way. I genuinely don't think I have the time or the headspace to commit to anything beyond maybe some PLEs, and that's it. Which also means, by extension, I don't think I have any time for AEW either, which is sad because I did really like it when I did watch it, but I just can't. I don't have the time. I have so many things that I want to do, and I just don't have the time for wrestling right now. It is such a big time sink compared to so many other things that you can do, and it's great if you're really into wrestling and you put that time in. It's really rewarding to do that. I just don't have the time currently to do it. To get that out of it. So I think I'll watch some PLEs. Probably about it.
Yeah, it's just to chime in quickly, it's really funny you say that because obviously with me being on this channel, I took over the kind of live hosting of like a weekly show that we did that rounded up everything. So I found that I was waking up on a Monday and thinking, right, so I've got Raw to watch today. I was waking up on a Tuesday and thinking I've got NXT to watch today. It's not just watching it, was to make notes about it. I've got it to don't watch on AEW on Wednesday. And actually, yes, I had lots of stuff to say on the Sunday, but I took a step back and I realized, right, I'm going to work 9 to 5 and I'm still not forgetting about it while I'm there. And I'm coming home and I'm watching some more. And recently, I haven't done a show in since this WrestleMania preview that we did last night in sort of 3 or 4 weeks, because for that period of time, I hadn't really watched any WWE, any AEW. And I just started watching random New Japan matches that I was being sent, or UK indie shows. Like I was watching TNT, the extreme sort of deathmatch wrestling they do. And actually, I've found that I'm enjoying it again now. I wasn't enjoying it when I was watching it day in, day out, because I was so cynical when I got to a Sunday, because everything that I saw either was really good or really, really shit. Like there was no in between. So actually, I had to do that as well. And yeah, it's a weird thing because it's something I've always done, but it actually came at the best possible time. Yeah. But it's come at the kind of, I don't know, peril of the channel a little bit, because I've not been uploading. But ultimately, I don't think I'd have carried on doing it if I didn't. So yeah, I think that's all from me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the last thing I'll ask you is, do you want to give us some big predictions for a couple of the matches for the WrestleMania card?
Cena's winning. I'm gonna say that. Cena's winning.
Yeah.
And I think they're gonna do Cena CM Punk. Maybe it's SummerSlam or something. Who knows? Trying to think what else is happening on the show. I've now that you've asked me, I've forgotten what the WrestleMania card is.
About Gunther versus Uso.
Google it right now.
Gunther Uso.
Oh yeah, Jay's winning as well.
Io, Bianca, or Rhea?
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing as well. With my detox of wrestling, I've completely abandoned all like wrestling news, rumors, all of that stuff. I haven't been keeping up with anything. So if there's like something going into it where all the reports are saying, well, this person's obviously going to win, like I have no clue about that, which is actually really nice.
No, I think that's a really good way to look
It's
at
good
it.
to not know anything.
You're not disappointed, I guess, when the things
Yeah.
happen. You didn't,
And also like you can be surprised about a lot more things, I think, when you just know that that when you don't know what's going to happen. I don't think maybe they want to do Rhea again. Maybe Io just retain.
Yeah.
Maybe Io just retain. Yeah, let's say that. Why not?
I guess the only thing before we wrap this up and finish it completely, is there anything that you would like to kind of promote to the people that watch this video that's going on for yourself?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I have my own YouTube channel, Pete Repeat, which we mentioned a couple times here. I'll say, I guess, sure, have an exclusive. Why not? I'm working on a video soon. I don't know when soon is. Don't quote me on this. But I am gonna do a wrestling video. It's been a while. I'm gonna make a video about wrestling. I'm really happy with it so far, and it's something that I care a lot about. So I think it'll be good once I get around to doing it. I don't know when that'll be, but at some point it'll be really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pete Repeat on YouTube. Go follow and stuff.
We'll put that in the description.
Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate
no
it.
worries.
Do that. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate
No, of course. Thank you for having me.
Out from your day to come and talk to us. I've been lucky enough to do this with a couple of creators now in the wrestling space. And it's always a full circle moment when you kind of watch someone and then suddenly you're the one talking to them on the other end. And it's kind of that imposter syndrome moment. So, yeah, it's just a thank you from me for taking your time out.
No, of course.
And again, for me, this is the first big interview that I've done, especially on the wrestling channel. So it's been a real pleasure. You've been a delight, Pete. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'll leave it to Sam to wrap it up. Anything you want to say for the channel, mate?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, go back and watch the video we did about WrestleMania to find that one out. But yeah, obviously, we're always grateful for everyone tuning in. Other than that, we'll see you soon.
It will stop at some point. StreamYard always takes forever.